In today's episode of the Pathway Presents podcast, I'm with Cameron Schuette, and she's heading over as a growth marketing manager for UserIQ. And today we're going to be learning much more about UserIQ and about journey that Karen has been going through as a marketing manager in growth. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Very cool. Give us an overview. What is UserIQ all about?
Yeah, so UserIQ is a customer success software that helps other SaaS companies deliver just a top-notch customer experience. Customer success itself is a pretty new industry, so our software helps serve those CS professionals with health scoring, creating repeatable processes with plays and workflow automation. And also we include tools to help drive feature adoption as well. So you can do like in-app engagements, onboarding tours, tooltips, things like that. We're really a great all-in-one software for CS teams so that they don't have to, tap their product team for help or their dev team for help. They could just do everything they need to do in one spot.
Very cool. So you're providing like a great journey within the product, as far as I understand. Is that correct?
Yes, and UserIQ will integrate into like the SaaS company's own app so that you can track product usage data of your customers and tie that into your customer success program in a really seamless way. And then we also really feature a lot of actionable reporting. So we move past just like the bar graphs and the pie charts and try to make sure that all of the dashboards we provide offer insight and tell you what to do. So to help prioritize your accounts, you can see where you need to focus. You can see where there are maybe changes in customer health, whether for good or bad. But we do try to make sure that everything is very actionable so that it's easy for customer success professionals to use. And so they have the data they need to really claim their seat at the table and advocate for themselves internally as well.
Very good. Very interesting. Okay, I see. So maybe tell us, like, who would be the typical company that is using this? Is that, obviously they need a tech product, but maybe tell us a little bit more about the typical companies that are leveraging UserIQ.
Yeah, so we focus primarily on B2B SaaS companies. We just find that works best for our product. And right now we're really building the product to help serve like the small to mid-market size businesses with tools that make it easy to get up and running quickly, see fast time to value. Some of the other tools out there are pretty complex and can even, require more resources internally from your team, whether it's through like an admin or ops role. And we build UserIQ to make it easy for anyone to get into the platform and get started and get what they need. So it's really great for companies that are growing and scaling and need a tool that they can operate themselves as they grow their team.
Very cool. And who would be bringing in the product typically? Like, who would that be? Is that like a product manager? Is that like a CTO? Is that a head of UX? Like, who's bringing in the tool typically?
We actually typically sell to the customer success teams themselves. So a director of customer success, VP of customer success, and then depending on like the structure of the company, sometimes if it's a smaller company that might go through the CFO and, product usually will get involved, but we are primarily focused on customer success, not just product management.
Okay. Super cool. Okay, so now how do these folks hear about you guys? Like, what is a typical journey of somebody, getting to know UserIQ? Are they, maybe, or in other words, what are sort of the typical client acquisition channels that you as a growth marketer are excited about?
Yeah, so right now, I think about half of our new deals come from outbound, but the goal is really to shift much more of that into inbound efforts. For our inbound, we get about half of our demo requests from Google Ads, whether that's search or display remarketing. And the other half is really a mix of organic search and social. And honestly, right now, like we see a lot of just direct traffic. And I know, with multi-touch attribution channels and with digital, it's really hard to always figure out exactly how someone found out about you, especially if they see your ads 20 times, but then just search useriq.com. To get to your site, but that's really only part of the story for us. We're trying to really develop more multi-channel tools, and at the end of the day, I'm not so worried about like exactly where someone comes from. I'd rather see like the overall impact of our ads and sales outreach and email campaigns and search performance on like lift on leads and revenue to try and pinpoint what's working well and what's not. Because ideally people interact with us on multiple platforms and then come and request a demo. I think that's our preferred buying journey experience as opposed to just, sales reaching out and hoping to book a meeting. It's much stickier when people get to do that research themselves first.
Makes sense. There's actually so much research on this. We had a lot of, we had a guest actually recently was speaking on the buying journey in itself. One of the people that coined it at HubSpot has been coining that term really nicely as well. Super interesting. Okay, I see. Now, you spoke about inbound, right? And obviously the website is key for inbound, no question. How do you personally think about the website? Where do you think is its strength at the moment? Where do you think there's room for improvement? Maybe share your perspective on the current page with us.
Yeah, definitely. So we actually just relaunched our website. We did a complete redesign at the beginning of 2021 because we did some rebranding last year. And then we just migrated our site from WordPress to HubSpot. And I think that migration has been really key for our team. I know that's gets into the very technical weeds of just functionality behind the scenes. But, I think our website does a good job of, representing our brand and reaching our target audience. We definitely kind of in Q4 have time slated to do some audits of our high traffic pages, A/B test different calls to action, different messaging, which now that we're in HubSpot, we have the ability to do easily. Before in WordPress, we would have needed to integrate with another application or pay for another service. And now we do have all of those tools in one spot. So we're really looking forward to testing some things out. We've just done some new messaging internally that we're going to test. And I think, our website is really, really strong, and it really speaks to our key use cases and our target audiences. But I would love to keep testing to see, what resonates with people and what they want to hear.
Yep. Okay. Super interesting. Now, I mean, you mentioned there is a new website. What we found quite interesting in the recent shows is people speaking about sort of figuring out why people do or why people don't convert on the website. What's your sort of go through methods or tools or approaches to figure out, why people would convert on the website or wouldn't?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, just providing from a user experience standpoint, a seamless journey on the website. A framework that a colleague of mine at a previous job kind of really emphasized was, having kind of 3 tiers in anything you put out there of types of calls to action for people to click on. So, the most valuable and the one you want to get everyone to is, buying or signing up for a demo. But, after that, kind of the second tier is, middle of the road, middle of the funnel, learning more about the product, watching a video, being able to easily click the product tab to learn more if the user knows they're interested in the product itself. But then you also want to have easy places to look for just educational content. If you're just warming up or you're not really sure what the company's all about, you don't know if you trust them yet. So I think we try to provide all of those paths on the website and then really dig into okay, which links are people clicking more? What is their user journey? How long does it take from the first time we get someone's contact info on, something like an ebook to when they actually sign up for a discovery call. And some of that is a little aspirational for me right now. I only started at UserIQ in April. So really working in the back end on setting up the reporting in a way that we can see that data so that we can know when to target people with different messages and what to expect, and to help set expectations for our sales team as well. If someone downloads a white paper, it might be 90 days, 120 days before they convert on anything else. And we're still trying to dig in and get all of that information so that we know.
Very cool. Awesome. Really, really good. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about sort of growth marketing per se. So you've been in different roles and in interesting roles in marketing. How do you, there's so much content out there, right? How do you sort of pinpoint what you would like to read? Is there certain places that you like to go, certain communities? Maybe tell us a little bit where you would take your valuable growth marketing information. Yeah,
so one of the best resources for me over the last couple of years, especially since I left the agency world, has been HubSpot. I feel like they have really, really great educational content about every topic out there. So I definitely will tap their resources and their learning community when, maybe there's a project I'm working on that I haven't dealt with before, or just trying to get up to speed on best practices. That was a big shift for me when I left the marketing agency I worked for, because, you know, in the agency, you always had like industry experts, subject matter experts for paid media, for social community building, for content marketing, for website, and they all just worked with you so you could, you know, easily get what you needed or tap someone else to help. But then when I moved to PTX Tech, my previous company before UserIQ, it was a one-person marketing team, and that person was me. So I had to become a little bit more of an expert in a lot of channels that I previously had just like known enough about to be dangerous. So figuring out like even like little things like how to fix code in the back end of a website like HubSpot is really helpful for me, and is usually my go-to.
Very cool. Awesome. As a last question, actually, I want to sort of, learn a little bit more about your journey. I want to go back to the days of the American university, right? And basically, put yourself in the shoes of just finishing up education, and maybe tell us, looking forward into your marketing career, like what's the one advice you would give yourself?
Yeah, well, when I graduated, I actually thought I was going to go to law school. I took the LSAT and everything and was going to take a year off and go to law school. So obviously working in marketing is a big shift, but I think if I could go back and give myself advice, like just graduating from college, it would really be to just kind of like open my eyes to the different opportunities out there and really think about like what it is that I enjoy doing and like doing, not what I thought would be like a successful or prestigious career. I feel like I was tunnel visioned on going to law school all throughout college, but I picked up a marketing minor and I took all these marketing classes, and all of my internships in the summer were like geared towards marketing and public relations. So it was kind of like looking back clear the whole time that that's the type of work I preferred doing, but I just wouldn't really like open myself up to this new career vision that I hadn't really thought of before.
Very cool. Cameron, really appreciate you sharing that insight. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about UserIQ today, what's the one thing that they should remember?
Yeah, I think the one thing to remember about UserIQ is that it's really like the all-in-one customer success software for growing mid-market teams that are looking to build, an efficient, proactive, and actionable customer success program. It's easy to use. We have an average of like 17 days to a win. So our team really focuses on that high touch like support so that you get what you need out of the software.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Platform Presents.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.